Beyond the Gates spoilers. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today is a beautiful Thursday, and we have a ton of absolutely crazy drama to unpack from Fairmont Crest. Grab a huge cup of coffee, or maybe something stronger, because you are definitely going to need it to get through this one. Let's dive right into the madness. So, let's just jump right into it, because honestly, my head is still spinning from looking at these latest Beyond the Gates spoilers. We have been covering this show for a long time, and you guys know that we are used to some wild twists and turns. But this week? This week is just a complete and total mess in the best and worst ways possible. I mean, between Bill and Danny acting like absolute fools in the hospital and Haley running around like the world's worst Black Widow, the DMV is just chaotic right now. But we are not even going to talk about the Hamilton and Dupree disaster today. No, today we have to talk about Leslie Thomas. Because what is happening with Leslie on Thursday, August 20, is going to blow everything else out of the water. And I just have to say right off the bat, what were the writers thinking? Seriously, what is the endgame here? Because the spoilers for this coming Thursday are heavy. Like, really, really heavy. Let's back up for a second and look at the context. A few episodes ago, on Tuesday, we saw Eva absolutely go in on her mother. And it was brutal. Eva basically forced Leslie to take a long, hard look in the mirror. She called her out point blank, accusing Leslie of rejecting all these other perfectly good romantic options because she is still hopelessly pining for Ted Richardson, her teddy bear. And you guys know how much fans on social media have been dragging Leslie for this. It's been exhausting to watch. Leslie has been holding on to this fantasy for so long. And Eva, who just went through a massive organ transplant and is dealing with her own failing relationship with Isaiah Hawthorne, just did not have the patience for it anymore. Eva just snapped. She was like, "Enough is enough, Mom." And you could see Leslie getting so defensive. But Eva was right. Eva was 100% right. Leslie has been completely stuck in the past, unable to move forward, because she has built up this entire fictional future in her head, where she and Ted finally get together and ride off into the sunset. But here is where things get incredibly dark and complicated. The spoilers for Thursday, August 20, reveal that Leslie is going to be intensely wrestling with her inner demons. And I use that phrase because that is exactly what it feels like. Demons. She is struggling. She is pacing the floors, she is in her own head, and she is desperately trying to find a way to cope with her past so she can finally move forward. So she realizes that she has to let go. She has to let go of the idea that she and Ted Richardson are ever going to be a couple. And honestly, good. It is about time. Hopefully, she can finally drop this delusion for everyone's sake. Because the fans are tired, the characters are tired, and I am pretty sure even Ted is tired, even if he doesn't fully realize the extent of her obsession. But wait, it gets so much worse. Because letting go of Ted romantically is only the tip of the iceberg. Leslie is forced to admit a secret, a massive, life-altering, family-destroying secret. She can't lie to Ted anymore. She just can't do it. The guilt is eating her alive, especially after Eva called her out so brutally. And here is the bombshell, guys. Are you ready for this? Eva is not Ted's daughter. Yeah, you heard me. Eva Thomas is not Ted Richardson's daughter. I literally had to read that spoiler 3 times to make sure I wasn't hallucinating. Because, what? How? Why? We have been operating under this assumption for so long. This entire family dynamic, this entire bond between Ted and Eva, everything we have watched them build, it is all built on a massive, glaring lie. And the spoilers say that it was just a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. Let's just pause and think about that word for a second. A misunderstanding. How on earth do you misunderstand a DNA test? How do you misunderstand paternity? This isn't like accidentally picking up someone else's coffee order at Orphe Jeans. This is a whole human being's genetic identity. Did Leslie just vaguely nod when Ted assumed he was the father all those years ago? Did she lose the actual paperwork and just guess? Did a clinic mix up a swab? I mean, come on. Soap operas love to use the misunderstanding excuse to retcon history, but this feels so incredibly messy. Leslie let this man believe he was a father to this girl. She let Eva believe this man was her dad. And she just let it ride? For years? Because she liked the connection it gave her to Ted? Maybe I'm being too harsh. Maybe there is some deeply tragic backstory about why she couldn't tell the truth back then. Okay, that sounded dramatic, but you get what I mean. Sometimes these characters are pushed into corners. But honestly, no. I am being perfectly harsh. This is incredibly selfish of Leslie. She used a child's paternity to keep her teddy bear close to her. And now, only because the guilt is getting too heavy for her to carry, she is deciding to drop this nuclear bomb on everyone. Let's talk about Ted for a minute. Poor, sweet, dependable Ted Richardson. Ted is the voice of reason in that family. He is the guy everyone goes to when they are in trouble. Just this week, Andre was secretly meeting with him to get advice about his mystery stalker texts. Ted is always the rock. He is always solid. And he just recently reunited with Dr. Carlton Fitzgerald, finding out that Carlton is no longer dating Nicole Dupree. So Ted is finally getting a little bit of breathing room. Maybe a chance at some personal happiness, or at least some clarity in his own life. And now Leslie is going to walk in and completely shatter his reality. How is Ted going to react? The spoilers ask if Ted and Eva will be shocked. Yeah. I think shocked is the understatement of the century. Ted is going to be devastated. He loves Eva. He has invested his heart and soul into being a father figure, into believing that this young woman is his flesh and blood. To find out that the woman he trusted, the woman who has been hanging around him making hard eyes for years, has been lying to his face every single day, it is going to break him. I honestly don't know if Ted will ever be able to forgive Leslie for this. And frankly, he shouldn't. This isn't a little white lie. This is the kind of betrayal that fundamentally changes how you view a person. Ted is going to look at Leslie and realize he doesn't even know who she is. All that generosity, all that kindness she shows, like when she went out of her way to help someone in need earlier this week, it's all going to look like a desperate cover-up for a guilty conscience. But as bad as I feel for Ted, my heart is absolutely bleeding for Eva. Let's just be real for a second and look at what Eva has been through recently. This poor girl just had a major organ transplant. Do you know how traumatic that is? She has been fighting for her life. Her body has been through hell. Her mind has been through hell. And her relationship with Isaiah Hawthorne is hanging by a thread because of all the medical trauma and the stress they have been under. Eva is fragile right now. She is putting up a tough front, calling out her mom and being brutally honest, but underneath it all, she is physically and emotionally exhausted. And now, right when she is trying to heal, right when she is trying to figure out her messy romance with Isaiah, her mother is going to sit her down and say, "By the way, the man you thought was your father your entire life? Yeah, not your dad. Oops, it was a misunderstanding. Are you kidding me?" Eva is going to absolutely spiral. Her entire identity is tied up in being a Richardson. Her relationship with Ted is one of the few stable things in her life. To have that ripped away from her, and to know that her own mother is the one who orchestrated the lie, is going to cause a level of trauma that I don't think Eva is prepared to handle right now. Will Eva and Ted be shocked? Yes. Will they be angry? Absolutely. Will they ever look at Leslie the same way again? Never. And it makes you wonder, who is the real father? If it isn't Ted, then who is it? Is it someone we already know on the canvas? Is it some random guy from Leslie's past? Is it someone dangerous? The writers are opening up a massive can of worms here. Because Eva's not just going to accept this and move on. She is going to want answers. She is going to want to know where she comes from. And that means digging into Leslie's past, which is clearly full of dark secrets and inner demons. I just keep thinking about the timing of all this. Why now? Why did the writers decide to pull the trigger on this massive DNA twist right at this exact moment? Part of me thinks it's because the show needed to shake up the Richardson family dynamic. With Martin and Smitty dealing with Tyrell's heartbreak, and Andre dealing with his stalker and Danny's blatant disrespect of their marriage by hanging around Bill's hospital bed, the Richardsons are being attacked from all sides. Adding a fake paternity scandal right in the middle of it just maximizes the drama. But another part of me thinks it's just because they didn't know what else to do with Leslie. Let's face it, her character has been spinning her wheels for a while. The whole pining for Ted storyline was getting incredibly stale. Fans on social media have been complaining about it for months. Oh look, Leslie is staring longingly at Ted again. How original. By forcing her to drop this bomb, the writers are essentially detonating her current character arc and forcing a completely new dynamic. She can't pine for Ted anymore if Ted absolutely despises her. And he will. I really believe he will. Ted is a good, forgiving man. But this crosses a line. So what happens next? Thursday's episode is going to be the confession. We are going to see the tears, the pacing, the agonizing guilt. We will probably get a really long, drawn-out monologue from Leslie where she tries to justify her actions. She will probably say she did it to protect Eva, or she did it because she was scared, or she did it because she just loved Ted so much and wanted a family with him. And it is all going to sound like garbage to Ted and Eva. I am really anxious to see the performances here. Trisha Mann Grant is going to act her heart out as Leslie, I already know it. She is going to give us all the messy, ugly crying and the desperate pleading. And Keith D. Robinson as Ted, he is going to give us that quiet, stoic devastation that he does so well. The kind of anger that doesn't yell, but just stares right through you. And Amber Michele as Eva. Man, she is going to break our hearts. I can already picture the scene. Eva sitting there, still recovering from her transplant, looking at her mother like she is a complete stranger. It's going to be fantastic television, but it is going to be so hard to watch. I find myself second guessing my own reactions as I type this. Like, is it possible that Ted already suspected? No, that doesn't make sense. If he suspected, he would have demanded a test. Ted isn't the type to just bury his head in the sand. He genuinely believed Eva was his. And what about the misunderstanding part? I keep coming back to that word. It is so specific. It implies that there wasn't necessarily a malicious, calculated plot from day one. It implies that maybe something happened, an assumption was made, and Leslie just lacked the courage to correct it. And then a year went by, and then 5 years, and then a decade. And suddenly, the lie is so big that you can't tell the truth without destroying everything. It is the classic snowball effect. But that doesn't make it any less damaging. In fact, it almost makes it worse, because it means Leslie was a coward. She chose her own comfort over the truth every single day for years. Honestly, you guys, I am exhausted just thinking about the fallout. The ripple effects are going to touch everyone. How is Andre going to react when he finds out his uncle has been lied to? Andre is already paranoid and dealing with betrayal from Danny. He is going to lose his mind when he hears about Leslie. And what about Isaiah? Will he step up and support Eva through this identity crisis? Or will this be the final nail in the coffin for their relationship? They are already struggling so much. Adding a massive paternity scandal on top of transplant recovery might just break them completely. The DMV is truly a wild place right now. I don't know how any of these characters are getting any sleep. I know I'm certainly not trying to keep up with all these spoilers. So, to wrap up my long, messy rant, Thursday, August 20. Circle it on your calendars. Set your DVRs. Leslie Thomas is finally going to face her demons. But in doing so, she is going to unleash a whole new set of demons on Ted and Eva. The DNA secret is out. Eva is not Ted's daughter. The teddy bear fantasy is officially dead and buried. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Are you as shocked as I am? Do you think Ted will ever forgive her? And seriously, who do you think Eva's real father is? Because you know that is the next big mystery we are going to be agonizing over for the next 6 months. I need to go take a nap before Thursday gets here. Stay tuned, because we will definitely be breaking down the actual episode the second it airs. It is going to be a bumpy ride.